chase people down. And I think that's going to be a large part of the strategy for them. Like, Aggressive's going to go for treads here, so it's going to be pretty easy for YJ to be able to chase him down. And you favor the mobility over the HP just because C-Deck have so much burst damage.
XZ's got level 5. How's our Clockwork doing? RTK, he's also come down to this bottom lane. Just throwing out some rockets for now. I guess because the Gyrocopter was doing so much in the jungle, they kind of free up that lane for RTK to get his level 6.
Yeah, I like that they made this rotation too, because he was having a tough time at top, wasn't getting a whole lot of CS. You want to get your Clockwork at least close to level 6 so that he can pressure lanes. The problem for him right now is that what you'll typically want to do when you're level 6 is either gank the safe lane with your Clock Hook or go to the mid lane, but he can't do either of those things because it's a level 6 Ember who's got the Flame Guard and the Fire Remnant up, and it's a Queen of Pain. So unless you gank with 1 or 2 heroes, you can't really do anything, but who's he going to gank with? Like, it's a Naga Siren. I guess you could or you can net the Queen of Pain, but you probably wouldn't have the burst damage for it. And so this Clockwork pick was meant to do a little bit better in the lane, I think, but right now he's going to struggle.
He even goes for the maxed out Rocket Flare build, which, again, I can completely understand versus Tusk, Ember Spirit, Queen of Pain. None of those are really good heroes for Clockwork to lock down. I just don't see how RTK is going to have a whole lot of fun. He's just not going to be a tempo controller, right? Like, he's going to be one of those offlaners who, like, initiates team fights and dies a lot, but he's not going to be the one that actually manages to snowball and create chaos more than just his initiation in this game.
I think it can be okay, but it's just, in this game, it's going to be a little bit hard in the early game, especially. There's almost nobody that you can really go for and kill. Yeah. It has to be one of the 2 supports. Like, the Tusk can just snowball, wait out your battery assault. Once the cogs are done, get out. So it's actually going to be C-Deck that's going to apply most of the pressure here. And they can do this because Shiki's had such a good time mid that even if this gank fails, he's still 1k in net worth ahead of the Storm Spirit. So he's got time to maneuver around it. They're almost certainly going to kill YJ here.
Yeah, leading with the Fissure. The burst damage is certainly there. Lets loose the call down, but not even that does a whole lot of damage. And eHome, we're really centered up on this middle lane.
That's a full Oblivion staff completed for the Queen of Pain. CTY is just finished his Soul Ring right now, so he's nowhere near the Queen of Pain and farm. Especially when she picks up the highest, he was the highest net worth value hero on the enemy team. So the Queen of Pain has jumped up to a pretty decent lead. CTY is keeping up though in levels, which is important for a Storm, but when it comes to farm, if he decides to go for the Bloodstone route, he's going to struggle really hard. And Aggressive looks like...
Oh, dear.
Oh, he actually even steals the rune. CTY is going to be depressed over that one.
Yeah, he just wanted to use his full battle. Aggressive's now going to make the jump on Alanim. Immediately, there goes the mirror images. Now the hookshot actually managed to snag Q. That should be a free kill. C-Deck are mounting a response with their Ember Spirit, but there's just too many heroes grouped up from eHome. So C-Deck, I feel we're playing very confidently against eHome. Like, they got that pick off in bottom lane. The laning phase in general just seems to be going really well for them. But they maybe just stumbled a bit too aggressively.
Too aggressively.
That was not intended.
Memes, but I think that if you're C-Deck, you're still doing okay. Like, the only people that you know that they can kill for sure are the Lina and the Earthshaker. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, your cores are so unopposed to this game. That's kind of the problem with eHome's lineup, is that C-Deck have so much mobility, and this Ember Spear pick actually works out really well because you can dodge pretty much everything. The only thing that you're really going to struggle with is if the Storm decides to go for an Orchid, which he won't, because he's already just so far behind the Queen of Pain, right?
Queen of Pain jumping in, trying to fight against Shiki. Has to ball lightning away. Will dodge this Shadow Strike. So at least forces something there. But yeah, 100% no Orchid simply because he's too far behind. So
yeah, he would never get there in time for it to actually matter, because the Ember can then just go for a Manta style.
Yeah.
Once he sees that you go for it, you're not going to not have your Oblivion stuff on you. It just adds so much damage. So he sees you going for that. He knows that there's no other hero on the map that can pressure him. So you can get that at a reasonable time, and then your Storm is pretty much useless, because then Queen of Pain can tech to a different item. Like, she can just go for a Yule Scepter.
Okay.
If you go for that. Whereas it's much less efficient for the Storm to go for a Yule Scepter. It just doesn't help him enough. Like, the Queen of Pain can refresh the blink timing and be the most mobile hero on the map using a Yule Scepter, but what does it really do for a Storm Sphere? It's just too defensive of an item. So you go for the Bloodstone, and it's like a lose-lose situation, but at least you can Suicide if she goes on you and has to burst everything on you.
Right. Hopefully prevent this Queen of Pain from snowballing a bit too much. Though she's already level 10, and we'll have that second Oblivion staff coming in soon. RTK, they're going to try and blow him up. Nice Cogs that pushes back. The Winter's Curse is there to control Aggressive, but TP out. He's going to be pulled in by CTY. Not really worth it there for C-Deck. Once again, they try and get aggressive in the middle lane and try and, force some sort of kill or something. And eHome just like immediately showcase, hey, we've got 4+ heroes here.
Yeah, and he had Magic 6 charges at the same time. He had enough HP to survive through that. And, that really wasn't worth it. And that could have gone a lot worse for C-Deck if they weren't careful. Like the Ember Sphere committed every single one of his Fire Remnants to be able to get that kill.
Yeah.
Like, he had zero way out of that. He was out of mana. You can't commit that hard to it, especially when you don't have either of the supports to back you up. Like, maybe if the Earthshaker's there with the Fissure right after, potentially you survive. But the way that went, you were 100% dead.
Drums is being picked up for our Gyrocopter alongside the phase boots. A ton of movement speed for this carry. Very aggressive build is what we're seeing. With this build, do you go into the BKB immediately and just look to dominate the early to mid game?
I think you still go for the SNY.
Okay.
There's... I'm trying to think right now. Actually, if you have drums, probably BKB first is better.
Yeah, I feel like when you go drums, going SNY as well is just maybe too much all-in.
Yeah.
On the early mid game, you have just too many small stat items.
Because what people have to always consider is like SNY and drums together isn't bad at all, but
you also have Ring of Aquila.
Yeah, and you still want to build towards the late game at some point. Like we saw that in the game where was it C-Deck versus EG? I still liked how C-Deck built their heroes. I think the bigger issue there was just that AUIA destroyed them and their confidence, but the way that their heroes built, I think, was the correct idea. You don't have to all-in commit to the early game like that. Like, Ring of Aquila is really expensive. It's like 1,000 gold, drums is 1,800, so you spend 2,800 gold on an item that you don't want to keep.
Yeah. C-Deck done with trying to maybe get a pick off in middle and take that tier 1 tower there, are now going to center up at bottom lane instead. They are getting to a point. Ember Spirit has a Ring of Aquila. I don't think he needs to go drums at this point in time. You could probably just go straight for Battle Fury.
Yeah.
Especially with the way that C-Deck are looking really good for the laning phase. Can probably just afford to sit back and continue to play a bit of a farm game against eHome.
The only way C-Deck kills Aggressive is if what just happened before happens again.
Right.
Where he uses all 3 Fire Remnants. Like, as long as he has one defensive, one placed, they would have to Winter's Curse and blow everything on him at the same time. And you can't really do that anymore because the Queen of Pain now has a Orchid.
So the beginning of the Queen of Pain's dominance. Move around, kill Gyrocop. I mean, she could kill actually anybody she wants to at this point. Like, there's no core that really feels tanky enough to survive. Maybe Gyro. Maybe.
If she has her ult, I think she can kill pretty much anybody. As long as the Gyro doesn't get the Rocket Barrage off first.
So it feels like there would be a lot more incentive for eHome to stay grouped up.
I think so, but at the same time, you realize you can't deal with those heroes. You have to split up and farm and try to get ahead in other ways, right?
Right.
But they're so afraid right now. I think they are aware that the smoke is happening.
Yeah, they did have a jungle ward.
Yeah, C-Deck want to take this fight, but eHome, this probably isn't a terrible fight for them if they can get in position. A lot of it's going to come down to the positioning of the Winter Wyvern, and if DDC can make really good use of the Cold Embrace and the Winter's Curse. Like, interestingly enough, he's gone for the Max Splitter Blast build, which I think is pretty unique, right? A lot of people value the Arctic Burn very highly.
I think it's about a 50-50 split, especially if you're able to get like the early 2 levels in Arctic Burn, just the slight increase in range. I feel actually makes a very big difference on the Winter Wyvern, ganking very early on.
Yeah.
But I would also say, like, eHome, the Splinter Blast is the best thing to be able to deal with pushes, right? Because it's just so spammable, great damage, very, very long range. So maybe they're a bit afraid that C-Deck are going to try and take advantage of the early net worth lead that they have to push towers, even though they really don't have a net worth lead at all. C-Deck have actually, over the last course of 5 minutes. They actually kind of dropped their 1,500 gold lead.
Gyrocopter farms really quickly.
Yeah.
So does Storm. They're just more efficient farmers than Queen of Pain and Ember Spirit. Because the Queen of Pain with this Orchid build, it's not the best farming build. Like, you want to get kills with it as much as you can, and they're not able to do so. And at the same time, CTY's only jungling, and he's actually switching back to the Orchid. I like this. Yeah. He realizes that his team is probably going to have to fight at some point, because they have no other ways to kill CTY without, or CTY has no ways to kill them without an Orchid of his own. Because he rolls in, and then what? You get Orchid or stunned up, and you can't really kill anybody?
Yeah.
Like, you need some lockdown.
At the same time, he's also been able to, like, sit back and farm up enough where he's gotten that chunk of gold where he's like, okay, now I can't go for that. RTK is picked up by Shiki. Quick little kill there with the Orchids. I think that's really the first one that Shiki's managed to get. But in the end, it's still an offlaner. You haven't gotten the important cores on the side of eHome. And YJ is actually about to finish up his BKB. So between the Orchid completing for the Storm Spirit, BKB on the Gyrocopter, and then this maxed out Splinter Blast build, I'm not sure C-Deck can actually force any fight. Like, if they do, it's got to be early. It seems, again, especially with their sit-back, farm-up Battle Fury build on the Ember Spirit and not going for the drums, it just seems like C-Deck really want to play for more of a later mid-game.
I would agree. The Storm's just finished his Orchid, too. And he's actually got a lot of farm now, and he's kind of almost caught up to the Queen of Pain. Like, he's 1k behind, but it's not too big of a difference, because if a Storm initiates on the Queen of Pain, you're guaranteed to kill. Whereas the reverse is true as well, but it's so much easier.
So. Much less so, right?
The Storm can blow his combo faster than you can respond and kill you. Like,
because he can jump on you and disable you to start with, right?
Like, this is what I'm worried about right now. Like, he's going to find CT or Shiki here, and oh man, that might have given a kill.
Still, they